Before we get to the new chapter, I just wanted to say thank you for the support on the last theory video, with it now being one of my most viewed and liked videos that I've put out so far for the 100 Girlfriends series. Also, coincidentally, it is also one of my most disliked videos. Nah, you can't win them all. It was a big undertaking to write and put together, but I'm happy with how it came out. I know a lot of theory videos are written in a way that this has to be the answer and the only way to look at something, and I'm sure based on my thumbnail and how it was written in the beginning, it probably felt that way to some people, hence the dislikes. But I wanted to take a different approach. Just giving the community a what if to ponder over. That will always be the goal of the content I make. Much like my real life job that I have in the medical field, I will never try to sway opinions in one way or another. I just want to make people think and look at things from a different perspective. I will always encourage more proactive and critical thinking. That's just a code I live by. Anyway, before this becomes a philosophy lesson, let's get back to our goofy rom-com of a high schooler with too many girlfriends. I'm Moonlight150, and this is my overview of the latest 100 Girlfriends chapter, Chapter 187, Rentarou's family's brand new boncho. The chapter opens up with Hahari receiving a divine revelation from Divine Revelation himself. Must be the cousin of the big cheese of the publishing biz. Just look at that family resemblance. To where she apparently put in a request to dress everyone up in Gakuran uniforms this chapter. Why did she put in that application? Only the mind of Hahari will make sense of that. Because she surely couldn't have known about Saki beforehand, right? Right? The girls gather again on the rooftop as Rentarou prepares to make his big announcement. Which, this is interesting to see. Usually we cut straight to Rentarou asking for permission. But here we see the moments beforehand where they're all grouped up, and Rentarou comes through the door to the school rooftop. We also get a nice shot of a couple of the girls in these outfits, and I bet you this is why this scene exists. Nozawa just wanted to show off. I see Iku is still failing the try not to look like a guy challenge, looking straight out of Tokyo Revengers. Also, I like how the little chibi montage of every past girlfriend in the corner is the exact same image from Meru's introduction, except now it just has Meru shoved in the corner here. I wonder how long they can get away with using that before they need to make a new one. And as any of us would have predicted, straight off the bat, Saki is throwing her age around trying to take up leadership in Rentarou's family. And by leadership I mean complete takeover, as she declares it will be renamed from Rentarou's family to Saki's family. Yeah, we can't be having that, Saki. If my previous video has any merit, he kind of needs the family for his own sanity's sake. Mai then butts in saying that Saki is only the oldest student here. And here we get a fun tidbit about Saki. We get her birth date of April 1st, and exactly 1 second before midnight before April 2nd. Which, fun fact, means that by a literal second, when she was a third year, she was the absolute youngest a person could possibly be as a third year. Oh, the anvil of irony. A lot of us assumed from the previous chapter because she was repeating the year she must have been 19. But no, because of this information, we now know she is 18. You know, at some point I'm going to stop bringing up the timeline, but today is not that day. With Saki's confirmed birth date being April 1st, we can at least safely assume that we have passed April 1st, because that is the literal first day of the school year. But this brings up an interesting tactic that I failed to bring up in my timeline video, using birthdays. One interesting measuring stick is our favorite Chaos Gremlin Kasuri. She regularly mentions that her older form is 18 years old, but she also has an early in the school year birth date of April 18th. So is she turning 19 this school year, or have we at least passed April 18th by the time Kasuri first mentions this in the series, which by my research seems to be the first time in chapter 61 when we only had 13 girlfriends. So we have two possibilities. Are we still in the early of the school year and Kasuri will turn 19 at some point, or have we already passed Kasuri's birthday of April 18th and she is now 18 by chapter 61? My kingdom for one of these chapters to be the family celebrating someone's birthday. I mean, technically we did. We had Mother's Day in Japan, which is Hahari's birthday on May 12th, but there was no mention of celebrating it alongside Mother's Day, which is something to think about. We all assumed Hahari was 29, but did she turn 29 with this Mother's Day and birthday combo? Or did she turn 30? In fact, I never recalled her actually being 29. It was just assumed by basic math in the community because she had Hikari at 13. The closest we got was this mention in chapter 79, but this was a side character, but the way he was talking was clearly meant to be duplicating Hahari's and Rentarou's relationship. So until now with the chapter we never had a hard confirmation of her being 29. She must have been 28 until this Rentarou's family daily life, but that was after this Hahari solo chapter date. Ugh, my head hurts. I think I'll keep things easy and say that, much like the counting I did in my timeline video, Rentarou's family daily life chapters just don't count. Anyway, back to the chapter before it turns into another timeline discussion video. Too late! Recognizing that Mei is her superior in both age and grade, and the revelation that members of Rentarou's family extends past just students of the school, she immediately goes into subservient mode. Nozawa delivering once again on amazing facial expressions. Matsuri then asks what's her deal, and I love how Rentarou is almost at a loss for words. Look at him trip over himself trying to explain. Think that might actually be a first. He eventually does get an explanation out that she bases her entire way of life around seniority rule, because she literally has no other skill to be better than someone at anything other than just being older. So Saki takes it upon herself to declare that they will now be called Mei's family, which Mai is more than happy to go along with. And while no one is looking, Saki tries to slither away into the role of Deputy Bancho right under Mei. I knew my snake analogy was spot on.
I'm a slither little sneaky snake.
Feeling threatened, Mai clings to Mei thinking she is losing her role as little sister to Mei, which Saki has no interest in. Mei then immediately passes the torch to the next up in the age chain to Aira, who while 19 is turning 20 later this year, so therefore she is older. You know, if I had a nickel for every time Aira was mentioned to be 19 and turning 20 this year, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice, and in the span of 3 chapters at that. Saki tries to rename them to Aira's family, and Meru says the quiet part out loud of what all of us readers are thinking. Much like how I predicted in the last chapter review, we have many family members who are older than your average 3rd year, and this chapter does exactly that by going through them all in age order. I won't bore you with all of them, so quick recap. Aira passes the Tama tries her hand at coercion, Momoha tries to get a drinking party going, and Hahari probably tried to get another baby chapter to happen. Don't worry, we're still a good number of girlfriends away from that happening again. About 7 more girlfriends away to be exact. Oh, and Natty may have called herself a banjo instead of a boncho. Until we end on the obvious of Yaku, who is 89 years old. Immediately intimidated by the sheer age level of 89, Saki goes into full patsy and begins wanting to lick her boots like the groveling henchman that she is. But Yaku says it's the young who should be in the spotlight and declares that Rentarou should take Rentarou's family back. To which she begins groveling again. Rentarou picks her back up, saying he wants her to be her usual senpai self instead of this floundering bootlicker. Saki then goes on to reveal her hatred of being looked down upon to everyone, especially right now being the newest girlfriend and being pushed around as fresh meat. She turns to Shizuka as she assumes that she must be new as well given how meek she is, to where Shizuka reveals she's actually the 3rd. Saki is then culture shocked that someone as high as number 3 isn't pushing her weight around in the family, to where Rentarou confirms that there really isn't a pecking order based on who has been here the longest. Everyone then welcomes her to the family by giving her what she wants. Well, almost everyone does. Most of the student girlfriends do call her Saki senpai. Then we have some outliers. Firstly, we have Momiji, Mai, Meru, and Yamame, who all call her Saki-san, which she turns out to be okay with. But then we have this band of misfits who don't use any honorifics. Now, I'm a simple white man from America, so my understanding of honorifics comes entirely from watching anime. But I cannot make any heads or tails on why this group decides they use san when all of them are younger. Though, I guess Mai isn't a student, so I guess that explains it. But the others? It's a mystery. And then you get to the ones who don't use any honorifics. Nano makes sense since she doesn't really seem to use honorifics, she just calls everyone by their full name. Kusuri and Kishka perhaps because they are all technically 3rd years, even if Saki is repeating the grade, so they don't see her as a senpai because of being in the same grade still. Himiko, we could just chalk that up to her wanting to be abnormal, and well, Sue could probably just not care. Karone also doesn't seem to be a big fan of honorifics, so I guess that explains that. But characters like Udo, Matsuri, Kurumi confuse me, especially because Kurumi does use honorifics. Hell, she has called Shizuka senpai multiple times. I would love someone who understands honorifics more to explain the reasoning behind these groupings in the comment section below. Also, I love this detail. It's never been outright said in the series, but it seems like Matsuri just hates sleeves. None of her normal attire has sleeves, she cried as a baby until her sleeves were rolled up, and here she just completely ripped them off. Neat characterization for her. And the chapter ends with Saki being upset at the lack of honorifics from the last group. Probably especially from the middle schoolers like Kurumi, Matsuri, and Uto. And with that, Girlfriend 30 is in the books. Won't lie, this is probably one of the weaker entries of girlfriend introductions, in both the introduction chapter and the Meet the Family chapter. I'm not saying I dislike Saki, I do like her design and I do think she has a lot of potential in the future to be fun, but the chapters themselves come off a little lackluster in their execution. Hell, the writer might have thought so too, with having Meru straight up saying, "Yeah, this is how this chapter's gonna go, you guessed right." We just need to see how she's going to get along with everyone else going forward. That's usually how things go. The gimmicks and quirks of new girlfriends are turned up to 11 in their introductions, and then they mellow out in everything afterwards, so it's a wait and see for me. How are you all enjoying Saki so far? Let me know in the comments below. And I do apologize for the lateness of this video, it's been a wild week for me. Thankfully, with this also being another break week, we didn't fall behind schedule with these videos. Also, we got chapter 3 of I Can't Choose a Childhood Friend to go over, so I'll be getting to that up as soon as possible after this video. There's a lot to go over in that. So I hope you all guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys on the next review for the next chapter of 100 Girlfriends. I've been Moonlight150, and I will see you all on the next video.